Okay, we're looking like we're live on a couple of things here. Hold on one sec while I check some things out. I don't Twitch on my phone anymore. Let me check my iPad. How do I watch? Okay, we're looking like we're live on a couple of things here. Yeah, it's working. Cool. I haven't done one of these things in like, I don't know, 3 weeks. So, kind of a lot's changed. I'm not doing CRM anymore. That kind of felt like it was a fun little learning experiment. It was something to try and show off and teach, but all in all, it wasn't really doing anything for me. So, decided to scrap that idea. Stream health, YouTube. Why are you complaining? Viewers may be experiencing minor issues. Why? Check video resolution. 1920 by 1080 is not optimal. Come on, streaming providers, get your shit together. Everything should be 1080. I don't understand why it's not. Like even Facebook, I had to down-res all my stuff to 720. Grr. All right, so changing gears here to doing something completely different. I'm gonna kind of do some work on my main project side deal that I'm working on. Not really gonna go too deep into what it does quite yet, because I'm not really ready to show a demo off of it. But I really want to put some, I guess, put the pedal to the metal, for so to speak, on this. So I'm gonna pretty much kind of work on this thing as we go. Let me move some of my windows around here for a second. Hold on here. So I guess the most of what people are probably going to get out of this tonight is like my work process and how I go about tracking some of the things that I do. Because when you're doing development, I guess this is really true of anything. You need to have a good process to keep track of everything that you're doing. Because if you don't, then it's hard to lose how much there is out there to do. Like, for instance, JavaScript, because there are so many frameworks and so many different things to do, and you get lost in it. And that's kind of true of any language, I feel. But when you're trying to work on like a major project, there's always a million and one things that always have to be done. So I'm going to kind of go over a little bit of how my work process rolls tonight, and also just do a little bit of work on the project itself. So first and foremost, there are a couple different solutions that are really popular in the development world. One of them is Jira, is kind of like the king of them all. That is used for task management, and then Atlassian is the company that runs that, and they have a lot of different products that are pretty cool. I like Jira. I've used it before. Actually, at one of my jobs, I set up Jira internally at one job for tracking all my work, and then I set up Jira at another job that was just for the help desk side of things. So Jira has a service desk offering that I set up. That was really nice. It's the best service desk offering I've ever worked with, to be honest. At least the simplest. But me being the cheap, frugal person that I am, I use Azure DevOps because it's free for up to 5 users, and I'm the only user, so I kind of don't have a lot to complain about. We use Azure DevOps at work at my day job as well, so it was kind of nice because I can translate things from the day job into the working on stuff in the evening or whatever. So I'm gonna kind of show at least my boards that I have set up and go over it a little bit and how I work. So this is, if you're not familiar with Scrum or sprints, I would definitely go check that out. But this is my board I have set up. Everything is set up in a sense that you have 3 different statuses: to do, progress, count, and done. To do, in progress, and done. And you could set something up like this in Trello, because Trello is very Kanban-y, and this is really just a Kanban board. So on the left hand, when I create a sprint, a sprint's a Scrum term. I'll drag a bunch of tasks and things that I think I can complete within 1 or 2 weeks. I'll drag it into what they call the sprint, and then you start the sprint. You basically commit to working, I'm just going to focus on this stuff for the next couple of weeks. And it really kind of helps you hone your efforts into just focusing on those couple of things. So that's really kind of about it. The different product backlog items are the blue ones here. The closed ones, you can see, you can open them and close them. The closed ones are the ones that I finished already. And then kind of as I go, if I'm working on something and I encounter a bug, I'll actually create a separate task for the bug itself, which are these red guys here. And then because I don't want to track it within the actual product backlog item, because sometimes I'll finish a backlog item and then I'll find something's wrong with it, or it's a minor thing that I eventually want to remind myself to go back and fix. So I'll create a bug and then use that to tell myself, hey, I have to go back and fix this stuff. I just realized on Facebook I never hit go live. I hate Facebook. I hate the way that it's set up. I always forget to do that, and then I lose what I'm working on. So anyway, moving on here. And then within the different product backlog items and bugs, you create tasks, and the tasks are actually these tasks here, the ones that are highlighted in yellow. These are the ones that you drag between to do it in progress. So I'm not going to work on these bugs today. I'm going to continue working on my user story. It's a product backlog item, but I have it defined as a user story. So as a user, I need to be able to add a customer to my account so that I can send shipments to them later. Shipment focus is kind of the application, I guess. So a simple one we're going to do is add business name field. And to show off a demo, I guess I am going to kind of go into a demo of this thing, because why not? Let's see, close that stuff out. And this is what we've got so far. So you have to excuse the typing. I have a mechanical keyboard now, so it's probably a little bit on the louder side. So I don't know if I finished setting this up. So I've got customers. Here's where the new customers are, and I just gave out my old address. Who cares? I don't live there anymore, so don't go haunt those people. So I want to be able, my task is I want to be able to add a business name within here, because being that this is kind of shipment focused, if they're sending shipments to a person, they want to be able to add a business name, whether or not, because in the logic for the API, it doesn't matter if you send in a first name, last name, or a business. It'll take, if the business name exists right now, it'll send that by default. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to check my customers module in the Node API, and I'm going to make sure that in the model itself, I actually have business name, which I do not. Email address. Okay, so we're going to add, business name here. Okay, so the model is good. The controller, I shouldn't need to add anything else in anything here. Just change the model and it should work just fine. So we can test this by, let's see, what can I do here? By opening Postman. Come on, Mr. Postman. Get up here. It's loading. I'd rather test the API this way. And I've been cheating, and I haven't been writing any kind of unit tests or anything like that, because, you know, I haven't. So let's create a token. And you could see here, my password is the ultra secure password 123, but this is local on my machine, so I really don't care. So we'll get a token, and I'm going to copy this guy and go and change my token here. And we'll go into, I want to create a customer. Actually, I don't have any methods here. It's under users. Let's create a new folder here. Add folder. Jeez, come on. Customers. Add a request. Create customer. And I'm going to do, what are my variables here? API base. / customers. / see, it should just be a post request here. So post. Let's see, authentication, I have bearer token, and we have token in here. Is that one name of my variable? Yes, it is. Automatically populated. Thank you very much, Postman. And let's go into raw, change this to JSON. And I have this set up as an array of customers it can send. So let's see, what do we got here? I got to put an address in. So I'm actually, to cheat, I'm going to go in here into my existing customers that I have, and I'm going to view the documents. This last document should be the one I'm interested in. So we'll go to edit document. I'm going to copy all this stuff, and we're just going to tweak this out. Close that. Paste that in there. Okay, so object ID. We don't want object ID. First name, I don't need to be Brian Blah. It could just be Brian. Let's see, last name, verifications. I don't need verifications or verified on. I want to get rid of all that stuff. I want to get rid of that because it's going to do some validation on here when it tries to actually create the object. We don't want that. We don't want that. We basically want street 1, 2, city, state, and zip. Owner ID. I missed my owner ID. Let's just copy the value here. Go ahead and paste that guy in like that. Actually, no, I don't need that because the way I have my API endpoint set up is when I go ahead and try and post this, it's going to use the information inside of the JWT token, JSON Web Token. Okay, it's going to use that and actually pull that owner ID out of there and parse it in there. So really, all I need is first name, last name. That's how we're going to create the customer. But what I want to also do is I want to do business name. And we'll name that just, I don't know, mybiz.com. Now let's go ahead and send that and see what happens. I created it. Business name is mybiz.com. If I come into my customers and I refresh this, pop this guy open, business name is mybiz.com. All right, cool. So that worked. Done with that guy. Done with that guy. Let's go back in here. The API actually should be done for all that I know, because it's going to get and it's also going to post and updates. I'm not really too concerned about that. So I will be concerned about that because that is part of what we're creating here. So in my front end app, I use Vue. I like Vue.js. I think it works great. I don't really have I know a lot of people like React or Angular, and I've tried those two, and Vue just kind of seems to fit the way that my mind thinks, which is why I've decided to stick with Vue, and I've really enjoyed it so far. I have no reason to try anything else other than sheer curiosity, I guess. Drink. All right, so my Vue project, the way that I like to structure things is I have the source folder like normal, but I have modules that I put inside of here, which really are kind of logically segmented sections of the application. So underneath modules, I have app, login, and onboarding. Login being my main login forms that you saw there. Onboarding is a separate section of the app as it's the application, in where if a person has created the account and activated their account, but they haven't completed filling in all their information, it asks them for their first name, last name, address, etc., just the basic details like that. So we'll go into app because this is the app right here is kind of the main thing. This is where most of like the bulk of everything sits in, and I have my customers view in here. So let's go and see where we want to add this to. So I have two forms in here. I have the form where you're creating a customer, which is in a dialog box, and I have the form where you're editing a customer, which is in a slide out, which I think I eventually want to change everything to be in that slide out because I like the way that it looks much better than the dialog. It gives you a little more screen real estate. It still gives you the benefit of looking nice on a mobile screen, but I just think it looks nicer. So let's see here. We got new customer, business name. And we'll name this business. And last name is required. I'm going to fix that because that's a typo there. Business name is not required, so we're going to get rid of that. The first name, I should add some logic in here so this way either the first name or the business name will be required. Whoops. Oh, I forgot I'm not using my work computer. I created a little utility that lets me auto dump to Trello, because Trello is what I use as my GTD tool. I don't know if anyone hasn't heard of GTD, go look it up. It's a personal task management system that's created by a dude named David Allen. He's a pretty smart guy. I really like a lot of his content. But it's just a way of kind of organizing tasks and in a really stripped down way. So I'm going to create a Trello card here for me to create logic to use either business name. Creates this validation rules. either name or business name. All right, cool. So that, leave myself a little note reminder for later. That does not need to be required. So we're good there. Business, business name. We'll do business name. All right, so under new customer, because I added, well, you know what? Hold on a second. Let's go ahead and just copy this, because we'll just copy this down into the next form. And I'll show you what I'm talking about with the different kinds of forms that I have here. So under, let's see, here's last name. Let's go ahead and paste that guy in there. And really, oh, you know what else I want to do is I want to get rid of my small 6, because those are sizing rules in Vuetify, because I want this thing to take up the full width of the parent. I don't want it to try and resize itself if it's depending on what size screen that you're on. I don't really care about that. Okay, so navigation drawer is what it's called. Okay, so that is done. Let's go ahead and edit our model in here. We'll add business name, null, and business name, null. These are kind of deep. Come on. These are kind of default values for Vue. The Vuetify controls don't like it if you try and data bind to something that doesn't exist, which kind of makes sense. So whenever I'm working on this, I'll create the object itself. I expect both the object and the different properties of that object that I expect to bind to. So this way it doesn't complain about it. And I think down here as well, you know what I'm also going to do? I should probably make this a little simpler by creating some kind of standard that each one of these is set to by default when it loads. I'll worry about that later. That's going to be more work than I care to put into this right now. All right, so that kind of should do it, really. I've added the field. I've added the API. I've added the property into the model inside of the API. We tested the API. We made sure that it does indeed create and get. Well, I didn't test yet, but it should work. We added the fields to the form, like I just said. We should be good to go. I don't think I need to change anything on my services that I have configured in my Vue app. So let's actually pull this guy up and go to localhost, because that's where we're at. So if I go to customers, do I have trash? I don't have a way to delete these things yet. Actually, that's something I need to add in here. So that's something I definitely want to take care of. Display warning when deleting a customer. I have to say can delete a customer. Can delete a customer. User should be able to, okay, so we'll just go ahead and can delete customer. That's going to be another task I want to do. I don't want to see, logically the can delete customer kind of falls under the same category, although it really doesn't make sense with how this user story is worded. So that's why I kind of added this directly in here. I'm probably overstretching this user story. I probably should create a separate user story to be able to delete customers, but for the sake of argument, that's kind of the way that my mind's wrapped around this thing so far. So I just bundled a whole ton of tasks inside of here, and I'm just going to kind of go with that. All right, so anyway, if we want to delete, we're going to cheat. We will actually I'm just going to drop this guy. Drop collection, get out of there. All right, so that's gone. So we should have no customers. We'll refresh this, and customers are gone. So let's create a new customer. That's what I was trying to avoid, is that. So I'm going to go back and fix that real quick. See, I want this to stretch the entire width. I don't want this to be half like first name, last name. So let's go back in here and figure out what we did wrong. What I'm also going to do is I got to remember to do this. Zoom in. We're going to get rid of that. I don't need to see that right now. Make sure everyone can see what I'm working on. How does that look? Is that better? Well, Facebook is updating its thing. Row wrap. Yeah, see, that's a row. That's a 12. Interesting. That should extend the full width. I'm not sure why it isn't, because the rest of these are. Very interesting. Okay, well, I'll recompile that in a little later and we'll test to make sure that we get the expected behavior. So I will go ahead and create this. Let's do mybiz.com like we tested earlier. I don't care that you know where I used to live. So let's go ahead and save that, see what happens. So to validate that this actually refreshed the users properly, I can come into view and I have this in these are the view diag tools. View dev tools. It's a plugin for Chrome, lets you go in the backend and see what's going on. So I don't want to see app main. I want to go under v-app. I want to go into content. I'm going to go into customers main. And there we go. This should be it. So under customers, I have one object, index of 0, and there's my biz name. So let's go ahead and edit this guy by clicking on the name. And okay, I don't have a biz name there. Okay, I guess we're going to recompile now. Let's go into here, bring up our terminals. All I'm doing is I killed the process, the web server, and I just I'm letting it recompile and redo whatever it's doing. Hey, what's up, Corey? Thanks for the thumbs up. And we're waiting. We're waiting for this thing to finish and tell me it's ready to roll. What does this say over here? Something broke. Oh, that was probably when I was working on it this morning. Come on, go. Go, baby, go. You know what? This little dot here means I didn't save it. I bet you that's probably why it didn't show the changes. Save it. Okay, it should be ready now. So let's refresh this. Got my guy. Click on that. Business name did not load, so it's not bound to something properly. Let's get rid of this again. Go ahead and create it and make sure that it. Let's see, not users. I want to drop the collection. Drop next. Go refresh. I just want to see my styling on my new customer. Okay, so that does work. So mybiz.com. I gotta clear up my autosave stuff in here. You guys are seeing everywhere I've like ever been. Let's go ahead and save that, open that. Yeah, so it's not data bound to something properly. Let's go into back to where we were. I'm gonna close that, get some more real estate here. Close that, and I'm bound to new. Yeah, that's why, because I'm bound to new customer here. So let's go back into our form, and you can see the rest of these here are selected customer, because when I click on the link, it takes and makes a copy of the item at that index and puts it into selected customer. Basically, so they're not bound to the same thing in Vue's underlying engine. They're two separate objects. And when it saves it and sends it back to the API, as long as it's a success, Vue knows that it needs to refresh its customer data and does that. I guess the term I recently learned, which I didn't know this was a thing, is called pessimistic loading versus optimistic loading, or optimistic UI versus pessimistic, where basically, yeah, see, there we go. So we updated the way it was data bound, and now you got your mybiz.com. Oh, hey, look, I have a way to delete the customers. I guess I did that already. Let's delete. Yeah, it deletes it. Okay. So, yeah, I just had a data bound to the wrong thing, and that's kind of about it. That's the whole process in a nutshell. So I'll go ahead now. Once I'm done, and I know I've completed that particular task, I'll come in here and I'll just write a note to myself before I push it back up to my repository. So I'll say, added in business name functionality to customers module. Go ahead and commit that. You'll see I have a couple of down here. I've got a couple of changes to sync, so we'll go ahead and sync that up. So that has been synced up. And then I'll come and I'll take add business name and go ahead and move that guy to done because we're done. I'm going to delete this too. That was dumb. That was stupid that I created that and forgot I did that. This is a problem I get with working on this after I'm just about ready to go to bed. So let's see. What else do I want to do here? I want to do something, I guess, a little bit different. Something I haven't worked on so far. So as a user, I need to be able to update my information so that my data is consistent with any changes. Maybe not. Display a warning when deleting a customer. That's a pretty good one because I got the delete customer there. We're going to display a warning when we delete the customer now. Did I close out my... Okay, so basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create another dialog box that when I click that delete button, it's going to pop up a deal that shows, are you sure, right? So I have a dialog template set up here. So we're going to copy this guy because I don't like retyping stuff if I can avoid it. So, and I have comments in here because I like to see what I'm actually deleting. Or what I'm actually modifying rather, before I just go ahead and start deleting stuff because that's not good. Alert. I don't need an alert. Close out this. Come on, get out of there. All right, so here is my new customer dialog. I don't know what hell I just did. So we're gonna undo everything I just did because I lost my spot. And under the navigation drawer, let's paste that guy back in. What's up? Oh, she's pacing around. My awesome wife person just brought my dog a little blanket so she could lay at my feet because she keeps pacing around. Thank you, wife person. All right, so delete customer warning dialog. Yeah, 40,000 millionaire. Thanks, appreciate that. How have you been, by the way? I haven't talked to you in like forever. We should catch up sometime. Okay. So we're going to delete that. Our title here. Are you sure? I'll just do confirm. All right, so that's my title, is adding customer, vmodel is deleting customer. So the vmodel under vdialog is kind of a whether it's displayed or not. So we're going to add another property, call it is deleting customer. And when that thing is set to true, that's when this dialog box is going to show. Let's see. We're going to change our buttons down here and get rid of this stuff. And we'll change this to colors primary color. I got to look at my beautify colors. I think warning I can use or error. Let's go ahead and look that up. Beautify buttons. Yeah, basically I want to display something like this, like a cancel that's a little more obvious to click on. Yeah, colors error, and we want to make it a flat button. From a UI perspective, we want to display it so the OK, although that is kind of the confirmation button, it is the you can't go back button as well. Like you can't undo what we're going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and name that OK. We're going to make the color an error, and then we're also going to make it a flat button. I'm going to get rid of these click actions here too because I don't want it to do anything quite yet. And then I'll make this cancel. All right, so that could be primary and that could be fine as well. We'll see how this looks. And for the text itself, we're going to say, let's see, what should we say here? Is selected customer, first name, space, is selected customer, last name will be removed. Basically, we're giving the user an option to say yes, they want to remove this, or no, they don't want to, instead of just deleting it when they click that button. By putting this in these double mustaches here, these are the double curly brackets, you're calling out a variable down inside of the inside of your data here. So, and because is selected customer is the one that is showing that box that pops out from the side, we know we can bind directly to those two properties there. So let's check this out and see how this works. I also want to do under the is selected is editing customer, going to do is deleting customer. We'll set that to false by default because we don't want to display that dialog box right out the gate. Is deleting customer. And then I also want to do inside of my dialog box I have here we go, just an edit. We don't want to do the delete customer quite yet. What we want to do is we want to do is deleting customer equals true. Basically setting that value to true, displaying the dialog box, and then we can come down here and pop that method down there. Cancel is then is deleting customer equals false. Simple enough. So now I've saved this, I've run it. Just check to make sure I don't have anything complaining, and I do. What's complaining? Customers main.view, business name, did I delete something by accident? I probably did. Business name, no, it doesn't, looks fine. Why is it doing that? Cancel out of this guy again. Let's run that again and sit here and hurry up and wait. Sometimes I always think that that's going to fix things, and sometimes it really does. Actually, I always think it's going to fix things, and sometimes it actually does, but more likely than not, I probably fat-fingered something, and that's why it's complaining. So, and I hate canceling that and closing it out, especially when I'm doing something live, because it takes forever to build it back up. But this is complaining about something. Line 445. 445. Yep, told you. Fat finger something. All right, so compiled with warnings, that's fine. That's just usually syntax I got to go back and clean up and make it look a little prettier. Before I'm done with this sprint, I'm going to go back and clean all that stuff up, but I'm just trying to grind through this and see if we can get it done first. All right, so that is done. Let's come back in here. Let's create a customer. mybiz.com, just like we were testing out earlier. Let's go ahead and save that. Okay, saved our customer, open it up. Now if I click this delete, it should show, it should not work. Yeah, I know why it didn't work. It's because I didn't refresh the screen. At least I think I know why it didn't work. .com. All right, so now this should work. Does it work? No, it doesn't work. What did I do wrong? Customer info. Is deleting customer equals true? Yeah, that's what I want. I am confused. This is the right thing we're calling, right? So we've got all my fields, customer info. This is the right box, the right section of the code we're looking at. Is deleting customer equals true when I click that button. So why does it go away? I would expect this guy to pop up. I'm going to do something here. console.log is deleting customer. Basically what I'm doing here is I'm gonna log something out when I click this button to actually see if it if I'm clicking a button in the right spot. So again, create the customer. I probably should just go ahead and put this into a test. I don't care about that. I probably should go ahead and put this into something in Postman so I can call it real quick instead of having to continue to do this. All right, so delete. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay, so I'm not connected up to the right thing, and I don't know why. Because when I click it, it should show this console.log here, but it doesn't. I'm gonna clear this out and refresh this again. I broke a bunch of stuff. See, that's what I get for trying to do this when I'm so tired. Because I break things and then I have to go back and figure out why and fix them that I don't expect to. Alright, so line 601, there's no 601, so that's in the bundle somewhere. Properly is selected customer is not defined. Why is selected customer? Oh, it doesn't like that. Selected customer. Let's try this. This will probably work out a little bit better. Go ahead and save that. Let's go ahead, and I forgot that I do actually have this here. Let's go ahead and send that guy back along. Refresh this. And there's my guy. Let's go ahead and click on that, delete it. Broke something else. Can't read console.log. That's because I didn't go back and change what I tried to do to fix this thing in the first place. If that made any sense at all. We want to get rid of this console.log and do is deleting customer equals true. So, and again, by setting this value to true, it's going to go ahead and show the dialog box because this is where we have our V model set to under the V dialog. Okay, so that's changed. And I would like to say third time's the charm, but I think we're at like 20th times the charm. So 20th time's the charm. Hey, there we go. Brian Morrison 2 will be removed. There's no undo. Are you sure? And now you can see here that I have the cancel as kind of the button I want to give some prominence to because I don't want a person to delete something if they don't really want to delete it. I don't know. I'm actually not quite a fan of the way that looks. I probably should flip this and make it one big red and then one cancel. And we could change that pretty quick, actually. I want to see how that looks. And I'm going to go ahead and slam that stuff to the right. No, I'm not going to slam it to the right. It could stay where it is. So let's go back into our buttons. Button, who's got the button? And we're actually going to make that guy flat and this guy not. Go ahead and save that. It should flip it here. There we go. Okay, and cancel. I actually like the way that that looks better. So if we cancel this, it should go away, and the dude is still there. Okay? So now if we open it back up, delete, click OK, everything goes away. Ah, this doesn't go away, though. I forgot to change that. So because I'm just passing in the function to delete the customer into the API and refreshing the data without changing this property to is deleting customer to false, that dialog box is still going to stay up there. So we'll go and fix that real quick. Down here, I think I did edit is deleting customer. What did I call this? Edit customer underscore delete. Edit customer underscore delete. Here we go. So this is it. It gets the token. It passes it into my service file, method, property, class, whatever you want to call it. Populate customers, refreshes it, close edit customer dialog box, and the last thing I'm going to do is this dot is deleting customer equals false. So now, and for the sake of being thorough, we're going to pass that back in to create our customer again. We're going to refresh this to make sure we get new data, although I think that was the customer we were looking for. Open back up, delete, okay. Everything goes back to the way it was before, like we expected to. So I think I'm going to call it at that. Closed out 2 items on my backlog, or tasks on my my board here, so I'm pretty happy about that. Pretty simple ones, but kind of got me back into doing a stream thing, even though I haven't done this in like 3 weeks. But Thanks to everyone on Facebook who joined me this evening. Hope you, if you are interested in this stuff, you actually got anything out of it. I'm trying to get a little more consistent with streaming every Wednesday about 8:30 because that seems to be the best evening for me to do it. But sometimes I get opportunities throughout the week to do it, kind of whenever. But yeah, if you're interested, hit me up on any one of those channels you see on the right hand side. I'm on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. Thanks again for joining, and have a good evening, everybody. Bye bye.